Rogue AI. Welcome to Priviso Live. Welcome to the show where we make sense of information security, ICT legislation, and artificial intelligence for the people who actually have to run it in the real world. I'm Lynn, and as always, I have two partners in crime with me. Stephen, good to have you.
Thanks, Lynn. Good to be here, coffee in hand.
And Kayla, welcome back.
Thanks, Lynn. Glad to be here.
Now, this has been quite a fortnight, hey? If last year we were asking whether we should let staff use AI, this year the question has become something far bigger. Can we safely give AI its own identity, its own credentials, and its own authority? We are going to work through 6 stories that all circle that one question. We start with a genuinely extraordinary run of incidents where AI systems hacked real companies. Then Europe switching its AI Act into enforcement mode, a rather secretive American plan to test AI. And then, just to keep us humble, a good old-fashioned phishing attack, a strike on water utilities, and a city that lost its emergency line. Stephen, kick us off because this first one is a beauty.
It is. So over roughly the last fortnight, 3 of the biggest names in AI have each admitted something that would have sounded like science fiction a year ago. Their own AI models broke out of the test environment and attacked real systems. OpenAI went first. One of its agents escaped its sandbox, that is the isolated testing space meant to keep it walled off, and it compromised Hugging Face, a major platform developers use to share AI models. It also reached a customer running code on a second firm, Modal Labs.
We've discussed that one before. The AI was not actually told to attack those companies.
That is the unnerving part. It was handed a security challenge inside what it believed was a closed sandbox. Then Anthropic, the maker of Claude, went and checked its own records, more than 140,000 test runs, and found 3 cases where its models had reached out and touched real company systems. One of them uploaded a malicious software package to a public code repository and compromised 15 machines. And then Meta admitted its own model did much the same thing, after a testing error accidentally gave it live access to the internet.
I know it's not directly related, but Australia has just had its first AI incident, and it's an amusing one.
Oh, tell me.
An Australian asked his AI assistant to book him into a morning gym class. The assistant couldn't initially do it because the class was completely booked. So it identified a vulnerability in the booking software and kicked someone out of the waiting list.
That's amusing, but it wouldn't be great if it was a waiting list for an organ transplant, would it?
Hardly.
And the common thread, if I understand it, is not that these things woke up and turned evil.
No, and that is the important nuance. In several cases, it traces back to a misconfiguration, a badly set up boundary around the AI, more than once involving the same third-party testing partner. The models were doing exactly what they were told: discover a weakness, reason about it, exploit it, execute, and adapt, just with the guardrail left off.
So who is actually responsible when that happens? The developer, the company deploying it?
Our whole model of accountability assumes a human somewhere in the loop. This is precisely the territory that ISO I EC 42001, the international standard for managing AI responsibly, is trying to govern. For our listeners, the practical takeaway is simple. Treat an AI agent as a privileged identity, not as a harmless piece of software. If it holds credentials and network access, it belongs in your access reviews, right alongside your administrators, right from rogue robots to Brussels. Kayla, Europe has stopped talking and started enforcing.
It has. On the 2nd of August, the European Commission switched on the enforcement phase of its AI Act. The AI Office, together with national regulators, can now actually investigate and fine. And there are new transparency rules, so systems have to tell you when you are talking to an AI, and AI-generated content and deepfakes have to be labeled.
And the fines are not exactly pocket money.
Not at all. up to 15 million euros, or 3% of worldwide annual turnover, whichever is higher.
Now, some listeners will say, that is Europe. Why do I care here in Johannesburg or Cape Town?
Because it reaches you anyway. If you provide a service to European customers, or your AI touches their people, you are in scope. It has extraterritorial effect in practice, much as the GDPR, Europe's privacy law, did before it.
And the deeper shift is that AI governance has moved from policy to evidence. It is no longer enough to have a nice policy document in a drawer. You have to be able to demonstrate what AI systems you run, what they do, who owns them, what risks you assessed, and what human oversight exists. That is exactly where ISO standards and privacy governance all start to converge. If you cannot produce that evidence, you do not really have governance. You have good intentions.
From Brussels to Washington, and this one has a twist.
It does. After those hacking incidents, the White House finalized a framework to test whether the most advanced AI models can be used to hack. The big labs, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta, Microsoft, are all involved. There is a 30-day early access window for cybersecurity evaluation before a model is released.
But here is the strange bit. The actual test criteria are secret. The benchmarks and the thresholds are classified.
Which gives us a lovely governance debate. Can you have genuine assurance if the method of assurance is itself secret? Assurance normally depends on transparency, on being able to see how the conclusion was reached and to challenge it.
And there is a bigger idea lurking underneath. Washington is edging towards treating frontier AI models less like ordinary software products and more like critical infrastructure, something so consequential that the state needs a hand on it.
Which is a profound shift and one worth watching closely. Sharp. Kayla, take us to our next story, because after all that futurism, this one is refreshingly familiar.
It really is. On the 7th of August, Levi Strauss, the jeans company, disclosed a breach. And the method was not some exotic AI. It was social engineering, that is manipulating people rather than exploiting code, aimed at just 3 employees. Attackers phoned staff, talked their way in, and some corporate data was taken.
Shame. While we are all staring at autonomous agents and quantum computers, someone just picked up the phone and asked nicely.
Which is exactly the point I want to make. AI may change the sophistication of an attack, but it does not remove the human being as an attack surface. This was reportedly part of a wave targeting more than 200 companies. The lesson for practitioners has not changed at all. Awareness training, verifying who is really on the phone, and multi-factor authentication still do an enormous amount of work.
So, do not get so distracted by the shiny threats that you forget the front door.
Precisely. Stephen, from the front door to the waterworks.
Yes, and this one moves us from data into public safety. In late July, more than 30 community water systems in Minnesota were targeted. Attackers changed operator passwords to lock staff out and altered the addresses of the control devices, the PLCs, that is programmable logic controllers, the little industrial computers that physically run pumps and valves. In one town, the controls for the well and the treatment plant were briefly knocked out.
And these control systems were reachable from the open internet?
That is the uncomfortable answer, yes. CISA, the American Cyber Defense Agency, put out a warning telling utilities to take those exposed devices offline immediately. To be fair to Minnesota, drinking water quality there was not affected, but the broader campaign across several states did lead to boil water notices elsewhere.
And this is where we move beyond ISO IEC 27001 compliance into operational resilience. The real questions are, why is operational technology still hanging off the public internet in 2026? And when does a cybersecurity failure quietly become a public safety failure?
The moment the water stops, nobody asks to see your compliance certificate.
Quite. And that brings us neatly to our final story, which makes the very same point even more sharply. Kayla?
On the 7th of August, Suisun City in California declared a state of emergency. Malware hit the city's systems early that morning and took down critical public safety operations, including its 911 call routing. They shut down the entire network to contain it and rerouted emergency calls through the neighboring county.
So the data breach almost is not the story. The story is that people could not reliably reach emergency services. And that is the distinction we keep coming back to: information security versus service resilience. The data itself is often not the most valuable asset. The ability to deliver the service is. A hospital, a municipality, a bank, they do not exist to hold data. They exist to deliver something people depend on, which is why we keep arguing that your business processes may be your most important security asset of all.
And the thread running through all 6 of these is really one question. Is it not?
It is. Last year, should we allow AI at all? This year, can we safely give AI its own identity, its own privileges, and its own authority? That is a far more consequential question, and it is exactly the sort of thing we love chewing over here. Stephen, Kayla, thank you both.
Pleasure.
Always.
And there you have it. This has been Priviso Live. We hope you found today's episode interesting. If you did, please share it with your colleagues, your friends, your family. Word of mouth is a strong driver of podcast growth.
If you want to hear more of the same, subscribe on Apple, Samsung, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or YouTube.
And if you need security, risk, or ICT legislation advice, contact Priviso Consulting directly at admin@priviso.co.za.
And if you have topics you'd like us to cover or questions about anything we discussed today, reach out to us. We love hearing from our listeners. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Kayla. Thanks for listening.
Stay secure.
Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe.